When we think of power in history, we often imagine armies, weapons, and conquest steel swords clashing on battlefields, empires rising through force and domination. But what if one of the most powerful tools ever used by a civilization wasn't a weapon at all? What if it was fragile, delicate, and easily shattered? A material so refined that it was once called white gold by those who desperately sought it. For centuries, China produced something the rest of the world could not replicate, and in doing so, it gained not just wealth, but influence, leverage, and control over global trade itself. This was porcelain, and in ways few people realize, China turned it into a weapon. How did a fragile ceramic become a tool of global power? And why were entire economies shaped by the desire to obtain it? To understand that, we must begin with the secret that made porcelain so valuable. Porcelain was not just another form of pottery. It was a technological achievement that required precise knowledge of materials, temperature, and craftsmanship that no other civilization possessed for centuries. Its strength, translucence, and pure white finish made it unlike anything produced elsewhere in the world, giving it an almost mythical status among foreign traders and elites. The Chinese perfected this art over generations, particularly during periods like the Tang Dynasty and later the Song Dynasty, where innovations in kiln technology and material refinement allowed porcelain production to reach extraordinary levels of quality and consistency. But the most important aspect of porcelain was not just its beauty, it was its exclusivity. The knowledge required to produce it was closely guarded, passed down through controlled systems of artisanship, ensuring that China maintained a near monopoly over its production. And in a world driven by demand, monopoly meant power. As trade routes expanded and cultural exchanges increased, porcelain began to move beyond China's borders, reaching the Middle East, Europe, and eventually the entire known world. Its arrival sparked fascination and desire, particularly among elites who viewed it not only as a luxury good, but as a symbol of status, refinement, and connection to distant lands. In Europe, porcelain became so prized that it was often referred to as white gold, with monarchs and aristocrats competing to acquire it in large quantities. Entire collections were displayed in royal courts, showcasing wealth and global reach. But this demand created something deeper than admiration. It created dependence. Because no matter how much other regions desired porcelain, they could not produce it themselves. And that imbalance would become one of China's greatest strategic advantages. As European demand for Chinese goods, including porcelain, silk, and tea grew rapidly, a significant trade imbalance began to emerge. European traders had few products that China was interested in, leading to a steady outflow of silver from Europe into China as payment. This imbalance was not accidental. It was the result of China's ability to produce goods that others could not match, combined with a controlled trade system that limited foreign access and maintained high demand. Porcelain, in particular, played a key role in this dynamic. It became a symbol of China's economic dominance within global trade networks, allowing it to extract wealth without relying on military force. In this way, porcelain functioned as more than a commodity. It became a tool of economic influence. China did not simply produce porcelain. It controlled how it was produced and how it was distributed. The imperial court often oversaw major kilns, particularly in regions known for high-quality production, ensuring that standards were maintained and that valuable designs remained exclusive. Foreign trade was also tightly regulated, especially during later periods, such as the Ming Dynasty and Qing Dynasty, when trade was restricted to specific ports and conducted under strict conditions. This allowed China to manage supply, maintain high value, and dictate the terms of exchange. By controlling both production and access, China ensured that porcelain remained a scarce and desirable resource. And scarcity, when managed effectively, becomes a form of power. Beyond economics, porcelain also functioned as a form of soft power, shaping how other cultures viewed China and its civilization. Its elegance, craftsmanship, and artistic detail conveyed an image of sophistication and cultural superiority that influenced foreign perceptions. Porcelain carried with it not just material value, but cultural meaning. It represented a level of technological and artistic achievement that others sought to understand and emulate. This influence extended into art, design, and even social practices, as foreign societies incorporated Chinese styles into their own traditions. In this sense, porcelain became a silent ambassador spreading influence without force, shaping tastes and aspirations across continents. Over time, however, the very dependence that porcelain created also motivated other regions to break free from it. European powers invested heavily in discovering the secrets of porcelain production, driven by the desire to end their reliance on Chinese imports. After years of experimentation, European manufacturers eventually succeeded in replicating porcelain, most notably in the early 18th century with the establishment of production centers such as Meissen in Germany. This marked a turning point. China's monopoly began to weaken, and the balance of trade slowly shifted. What had once been a powerful economic advantage began to erode. Although China eventually lost its exclusive hold over porcelain production, the impact of its earlier dominance continued to shape global trade patterns and economic relationships. Porcelain had demonstrated something profound. That control over a highly desired product could create influence far beyond its material value. It showed that power did not always require force. Sometimes, it required creating something the world could not live without. The story of Chinese porcelain challenges our understanding of power in history. It reveals that influence can be built not only through armies and conquest, but through innovation, control, and strategic thinking. Porcelain was fragile, but the system behind it was not. And for centuries, that system allowed China to shape global trade on its own terms. So the next time you see a piece of porcelain, ask yourself, was it just art? Or was it once one of the most powerful tools in the world?